So the objective for today's webinar is to provide you with some information on the GUI options for Oracle Forms applications converted into the Java environment. And we're going to start with an introduction that includes an overview of Unify CypherSoft and the frequent questions our customers face about what to do with the GUI client in moving from the client server to the more server-centric structure of the Java platforms in their organization. After that, we'll review what the available GUI options are. And some of you are going to be surprised to know that they do not all have to be web-based. There are some options. And this is going to be followed by the key factors to consider in deciding on these different GUI options and how our solution, which is the Exodus solution, addresses all of these factors. And then we'll follow this with a demonstration so you can see just how easy it can be to convert and deploy an Oracle Forms application into the Java environment. And this will be followed by a Q&A session. So CypherSoft is a wholly owned subsidiary of Unify Corporation, and Unify has over 30 years of experience in database development tools and migration. And CypherSoft itself has an established and very successful practice for modernizing Oracle Forms applications. That is all that CypherSoft is about. We're actually a member of the Oracle Modernization Alliance, or OMA, and for those of you that don't know, the OMA is an Oracle initiative to help customers modernize their legacy applications and infrastructure. And CypherSoft's focus as a member of this initiative is all about just modernizing your Oracle Forms. So what you see now on the slide, these are the frequent questions asked by our Oracle Forms customers. And customers that have chosen the conversion option are looking to reduce development and deployment costs by consolidating their technology platforms. And many have chosen Java as the primary platform, especially those of you that are invested in the Oracle stack. However, there are questions about what to do with the GUI client in moving from client-server to the more server-centric structure of the Java platforms. And some customers want a similar look and feel to minimize the retraining costs. But for others, modernizing the GUI is a top priority of the conversion. But what we'll do now is we'll take a look at what these various GUI options are for Forms applications converted to Java. Now, when an Oracle Forms application is converted to Java, the application is deployed to an application server environment, such as many of you that are familiar with Oracle, such as the Oracle 10G or now the Oracle 11, also known as the Fusion. But you know, some of you may have other Java application servers as well. Now, this diagram that you see up on your browser shows the various components that make up a Forms application that has been converted to Java with CypherSoft's Exodus solution. And for today's webinar, we're going to focus on the client options that you see on the left-hand side. If you look at that box on the left-hand side, you can see that there are three. The first one is a browser using HTML or dynamic HTML. The second one is another browser option, but it's using what we call our Exodus plugin. And then the third one is a Java applet without a browser, and that's actually just a Java desktop client, if you will. Now, the option you choose will determine whether the GUI is displayed as HTML or XML. And it's worth pointing out that that last option, the non-web option, if you will, is in Java. And many customers automatically equate Java conversion with the web, and that's okay for many. But for some, a client-server option still makes sense moving forward for the applications they have. And again, they're really focused on just consolidating their applications into the Java platform, because that's where they're consolidating all of their skill sets. So it's just good to know that you can still reap the benefits of Java and consolidating your technology platforms without having to move everything to the web, if that's a concern for you. Now, with the Exodus solution, the other thing I want to point out in this diagram is that you can mix and match these different GUI clients in your deployment depending on what makes sense. The other thing I want to point out in this diagram is that the option for the client communication, so that's what you see there just to the right of the client column, there's an option for the client communication to go over HTTPS just to meet the more stringent security encryption requirements if you have that in your organization. Now, these are the key considerations for choosing the best GUI option for your converted applications, and we'll take a moment to review each one. So the first one, security requirements. Some customers are looking for a web-based conversion, and the client can only be browser-based with no applets or plugins. Others have a single sign-on environment or HTTPS type of setup. On the network environment, customers have to kind of consider the network bandwidth and whether the application will be accessed in a back office environment or if there will be remote users accessing the application over the internet. Response time is also a factor here. And the difference in response time between client-server and web-based can be minimal in many cases. I mean, we see that in a lot of our conversions. And the key there, as long as you have a solid J2EE architecture, like the one pictured on the previous slide, but there are some scenarios where, you know, a 1 second response time in client-server can become 3 seconds in a web-based environment. And for some of you out there, that can be critical for certain applications. So that's kind of what we mean by key consideration in the network environment. The third one is look and feel. And customers are often looking for a like for like in the initial conversion over to Java. And the reason why is they're really looking to minimize retraining of the end users in the application. They're trying to get it over into the platform. That's the priority, into the new platform, if you will, and just not create any disruption for the end user. And then over time after that, they'll look at, okay, how can we modernize the application and move the end users into that in a less disruptive way. Others, though, are looking to modernize the look and feel that come with a web application right from the start. Now, the last bullet, conversion effort and cost, also comes into play. You can save time and money on your conversion in a browser with a browser client with a lightweight plugin. And it requires more effort to recreate the rich user interface of an Oracle Forms client-server app in the constraints of a browser-only environment without any client-side processing. So that's something you have to consider as well in terms of how important is it to you that this be browser-only without any kind of applet or plugin in the browser. Now, all of these considerations are factors, and you have to prioritize and weigh each one based on what you're really solving for at the end of the day with converting your application to Java. So let's take a look at how the solution being used in the demo today, the Exodus solution, addresses these different factors. So the first one we listed was security. And we already mentioned that the client communication can be set to HTTPS. Exodus also provides a browser-only option for the presentation layer with no software on the client. And sometimes that's what's really driving someone, at least in our solution, why they're interested in that browser-only solution. By the way, our browser-only solution is based on Oracle's ADF, which is their Java Server Faces implementation. So if you're looking to leverage ADF, that's what our solution is using for its browser-only option for the GUI. The CypherSoft solution has many features for minimizing the network traffic. And at a basic level, Exodus does buffering, message bundling, and compression. And I talk about these things because that's often what we get customers, they'll ask, well, now that this is going to Java and more web-based, how's the performance going to be impacted? And what's nice is we address these things like buffering, message bundling, and compression, and these can be configured as well to make sure the network traffic and response time are optimized. And we actually, when we do a conversion, we offer the Exodus tool so a customer can do it, but we also, some customers have us, they kind of outsource the conversion to us as a service. That's a natural part of the conversion process. Is once you do the conversion, there is a stage where you do some performance tuning to optimize it for your Java environment. Another consideration kind of related to the network environment is the makeup of the application itself. In client-server forms applications, there can be, and you Oracle Forms customers know this, there can be a lot of fields on the screen, and it's really amazing how the real estate of the canvas gets utilized in some of these applications. And where there are a lot of fields, there can also be a lot of client-side processing, especially on data entry forms. Just as an example, we've seen a customer with multiple field-level validations on many fields on that form, if you will, before the record's even committed to the database. So these are things you have to look at and consider in terms of how to get that addressed. And the Exodus solution tackles these types of challenges in a browser environment. One way we do is with the lightweight Java plugin option that we mentioned as that second option in that diagram. And in this option, we have various things, but just one example, we have a client-side property for numeric fields to enable client-side calculations. And we can do that because of that lightweight plugin. We also have a command object that can be mapped to hotkeys, so the information gathered on the client side can be sent to the server by key events. So you can kind of manage when is that communication taking place. And those are just a few examples. Our development team has done an excellent job of, they really know their J2EE, and so they've built that into the Exodus solution and what it converts so that you can really take advantage of it and be able to get the kind of performance you want over the network. Now, the third key consideration was around the look and feel. And as I mentioned, most often what customers that go through a conversion end up deciding to do is a like-for-like conversion of the GUI at the outset. And you'll see in here, and we'll see this in the demo, so I won't spend too much time here, but this just shows you what an Oracle Forms application looks like and then what the converted one looks like in a browser. You can see that it's a similar look and feel, but we do offer a similar look and feel for the HTML browser-only option as well. And then there are some customers who it really is a priority to have the new look and feel or kind of a modernized look and feel from what it was in Oracle Forms in the browser, and they're looking to dramatically change that up front. And we can help with that as well. Our solution is really geared for doing a look-for-look right out of the box, but there are things we can do for those customers where modernization of the look and feel in the initial conversion is key, that we can do with customer-defined style sheets. So we're to the fourth kind of key consideration that we want to spend a little bit of time on, and that's the conversion effort and cost. And in terms of time and money, it can be a key factor. And so what we just like to point out is that a browser interface with a light plugin, which is that second GUI option, is more economical for conversion of a client-server application. And the reason is this, is that it's really additional work. It takes more work to take the rich user interface, and again, whether it's pretty or not, as some Oracle Forms customers like to point out, it's just a lot of additional work to take the rich user interface and client-side processing of an Oracle Forms application into a browser-only environment. So, for example, menus in your Oracle Forms environment, if you go to a browser-only, must become links instead of pull-down menus. There are other constraints in browser-only options like ADF as well. Existing ADF components don't support all of the complex Forms components like table handling, tabs, etc. Although Oracle has expanded the number of GUI objects in their 11G ADF, but even then, some of them don't have all of the properties for those objects that those same objects in Oracle Forms have. And so if that behavior is important in your application, you have to go back through in the conversion and make sure all of that is addressed. And our solution does that, and we help with that, but just know that it's a little more effort than what can be done with what we've done with the lightweight plugin option. CypherSoft has that Java expertise and experience from projects that we've done on this to apply those techniques when a browser-only interface is needed. The other thing, too, is that to consider is that Exodus allows you to convert the entire application once, and then you can convert just the presentation layer multiple times into these different options. So, when you saw that diagram, if you notice, I had the client side, that column on the left-hand side, and because this is built in a J2EE architecture, that presentation layer is separate from your business logic as part of the conversion. So regardless of the GUI option you choose, that business logic is the same once it's converted. And so you can convert the whole app and then pick and choose or go back and do different presentation layers for the different options. And this just gives you the ability to start getting your ROI in moving to the Java platform more quickly and then modernize into a browser-only interface over time as needed. So at this point, let's demonstrate some of this and some key points to keep in mind during the demonstration. We're going to convert the Oracle Summit application. For those of you not familiar with it, it's one of Oracle's own applications that they use for training and demo purposes. So it's not as complex, if you will, as some of your applications, but it does have a lot of the things that you would expect or see in your complex applications. It has menus, libraries, business logic, in addition to the multiple forms and canvases. This is a full conversion, and as I was just mentioning before, note you can choose to do just pieces. For example, we have some folks that just convert the PL SQL, or once converted, as I said, you could just convert the presentation layer into a different option. We're going to show here for the demo today like for like and in a browser. But as I mentioned, there are some different options there. And if you have specific ones you want to see, we can always do that with you as a one-off. And with that, I'd like to introduce our guy that's going to be presenting or demoing today. It's Khalid Beg. He's going to drive the demonstration. And Khalid is our manager of our customer services. And so he's responsible for our team that goes out and actually does these conversions when it's when they're using us as a service. And then also he also has a team that goes out and trains customers that choose to buy it as our solution as a tool and do the conversions themselves, or they'll use a little bit of our consulting around the project just to help them get off to a quick start. Khalid has been with us for many, many years, but even before he was with us, he was doing Oracle Forms development and Oracle Forms upgrades. So he has just a wealth of knowledge on the Oracle Forms environment. He's seen a lot there, and between his experience in actually developing in Oracle Forms as well as upgrading to releases all the way back from 3i up to 11G, or it's not 3i, but Oracle Forms 3 up to 11G, as well as being involved in these conversion projects, brings a very broad, well-rounded perspective on these conversion projects. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Khalid for the demo.
Hi, Matt, and hi, everyone here. Good morning. And as Matt mentioned, what we are going to do is do a demo of a Summit application. That Summit application basically is provided by Oracle that contains 3 forms, 2 libraries, and 1 menu. So it's like a full application, but a medium-sized application, but contains almost all the components that Oracle uses in their form application, like tab, drop-down, tree structures, PL SQL, alerts, and other things basically. I hope you all are seeing my desktop. If not, you can actually chat and let us know that you are not seeing it, or if you are having any problem, let us know. But as far as I can say, it should be working fine. So what I'm gonna do is start with the conversion tool. Conversion tool is basically, what does conversion tool do is take the Oracle form or Oracle library or database packages or menus or whatever the modules you have, and convert into Java side. And there are two options for conversion, as Matt mentioned. Is one is lightweight, which we call JSF ADF, and the other is plugin version. For plugin version, what we generate is XML files for presentation layer, while for ADF we create ADF files for presentation layer, which at the end of the day would be compiled and sent back to the browser as HTML. So this is our conversion tool, and if you see, there are not too many options to provide in conversion tool. It's simple conversion tool, but at the back end there are like so many years involved in writing the conversion processes. Basically, okay, if you get this syntax, what we are gonna do: go block, go record, and if and while statement, case statement. So there is a lot going on behind the scene, and we try to make this presentation of conversion tool as simple as possible, so anyone can start doing the conversion of the modules. So the main options there are input folders, output folders, and database connection. Now, why we need the database connection, we have been asked before, and the reason we need the database connection is for the purpose of references. For example, if you are calling a database package with some argument or procedures, with some arguments, we need to know what those arguments are. Are they like varchar arguments? Are they numbers or a string or something like that? And according to those arguments, we create the proper Java code. Also, like when you are setting up the row type or item type, basically we go to the database and see what table item is. Is it a character or varchar or a string? According to that, we create the variable in the Java code. So that's basically what we need the database connection for. We do not write anything on the database. We do not modify anything on the database. It's only used for reading and referencing purposes. There are one more option, which is like what presentation layer you would be choosing. If you want to go with the applet swing version, then you have to select that option. Otherwise, you have to select the other option, and the presentation layer would be generated accordingly. Basically, this conversion tool, when you run it, there are different processes that you can run this conversion tool with. The main process is form module conversion, which is your form FMB files. The second is database and library conversion. The third is menu module conversion. During this conversion, like for library conversion or database conversion, since it's only PL SQL, we don't have to worry about like XML files or ADF presentation layer files or anything like that. Basically, we take the PL SQL, we parse the PL SQL, and then convert into Java classes, and then we are done. But for menu and forms, since they have a PL SQL as well as the presentation layer, we do two parsing. First parsing is to take all the business logic which is in PL SQL and convert into Java. The second parsing is to take the presentation layer. In menu cases, obviously menu items. In form cases, we take alerts and canvases and list of values, and then convert them into proper presentation layer files as XMLs or ADF. So what I'm gonna do is start the conversion, and conversion on its own should not take too much of time. In any case, like even if you have like 100,000 lines of code, it should not take like a day or half day or something like that. The conversion process is faster than any other process in this whole project basically. So let's go and then do the conversion. I'm gonna select the what we recommend. It's not required. It's a recommendation from us. Is that when you have libraries, menus, and forms or reference forms even. So first convert the libraries or database packages if you are moving from Oracle database, and then convert your menus and convert your reference form and then forms at the end. But you can run in any order. And when you are running form, even you have a choice to run only canvas conversion, or you have a choice to only run program units like program units or trigger PL SQL logic. So I'm gonna start with library conversion. Once I go in this option, it gives me the option either you are converting database packages or libraries, which are your PLL files. I say, okay, I'm gonna convert these. I take the text format of these libraries, move it on the right side that for conversion, and then press the conversion button. And it should not take, like, these are simple libraries, like maybe a few hundred lines of code, but they normally do not take more than 5 seconds, 10 seconds to convert. And for 100,000 lines of code, if there are a lot of database references on that code or packages involved, then it might take a little bit time, but we are talking about like in hours, not days, basically. At the end of each conversion process, what the conversion tool does, it creates a log file, and then it shows, okay, what happens during the process of conversion. Since we have been doing this conversion for several months or years, basically you are only seeing that conversion is done successfully. But it may not be the case when you are doing the live conversion. You might get some warnings, for example, which will be saying like, okay, there we found a go-to statement, and since we don't convert go-to statement in Java, then we give some warnings there. And if there are few non-supported things like or a supported a built-in like host command, if we encountered host command, we come up with a warning. We say we converted, but you have to review or check it later on, basically, because host command runs on a client server, runs on a client, but on a web environment it runs on the server. So you might have to go and change it some way that it will run on a client in that format. So log file is kept for every conversion process. So if you are converting now today, it will give you the date for this log file, and it will create a log file with today's date. And then if you go tomorrow and convert some other forms or modules, it will create a log file for tomorrow's date, actually. So why we are doing this is for the purpose of due diligence or for audit trail base. So if you can go 2 months later from down, like after 2 months, you can check what you did 2 months before and what were the warnings and things like that. So it can be kept as an audit log files. The second process we do in the conversion is menu. And as I said, in menu, what we do is we do two processes. One is converting the PL SQL logic, program unit or something like that. And the second process, we convert the items which are on the menus and create the files for presentation layer. So here we have only one menu which we say mSubmit. We select it and we say okay, convert it. Again, it's not a 6,000 item menu, basically, so it converts very fast, and it gives the log file saying okay what it did. It actually converted the XML file, PL SQL, and descriptor properly. The last process in this process is the form module conversion. And since we have 3 forms, I'm going to select all 3 forms. One is customer, order, and pick form, and then put it on the right side for conversion, and say conversion, and after each form it gives a conversion process. And again, it has a log file, and as I said, like in the forms there are more processes than library or menu. Basically what it does, it creates the block item files which are called DTM, like data table models, which are similar to entity beans if you refer back to your J2EE. Then JLS files are basically XML file for your representation layer, like LOVs and canvases or alerts, and then PL SQL logic, basically. So it does the conversion, it finishes those conversion, and then give you a log file. Again, it can give warnings, it can give other messages or errors here that you can go back and then see what could be the problems. Once the conversion is done, and it's not necessary you would be able to do all the 4,000 forms or how many libraries you have in one day, but if you want to do like in partial ways, you can do certain set of application or certain set of forms, and then once you are done with those forms or modules, what you can do is you can go and then generate the WAR file. What we do is we give this option to the users to generate the WAR file, template WAR file, and then if for example if you converted 10 forms today, you can convert these 10 forms template WAR files, and if tomorrow if you convert more, then you can create another file and deploy that WAR file. So I'm gonna go and then generate this war file, which will obviously just say generate button. There is no input output required, and it will create the war file for me that I can take and deploy on any application server. When I say any application server, basically that means any J2EE compliant application server. That could be Tomcat, that could be Oracle application server, WebLogic, WebSphere, or Orion, or JBoss, or anything you want to use. The next step, what I'm gonna do, we have already deployed this application and we are ready to run. So I'm gonna show it to you on your left side, the Oracle original Oracle form, and on the right side the deployed. Not this one. So you should be able to see on the left side original Oracle form, and on the right side the converted Java code deployed for Summit application. And as Matt was saying, like the look and feel should look the same way. Obviously, like on a tree structure, you can see Oracle tree structure component has like minus or plus signs for tree structure, and then on the right side it has minus and plus signs, but also the folder sign there. So it's a Java tree structure that we are using for the purpose of doing the same job that the Oracle form tree structure is doing. This is basically a master detail. So there are like master detail relationship defined in these three blocks. This is one block, this is second, and this is third block. And third block has tabs. So you can see the tabs are defined here, and similarly you have tabs here. And there are buttons and other things. So look and feel should be same. So you can go here the similar way. We are using the same database for the same purposes. And if I double click on the left side, it will call order form, and order form look and feel is this on Oracle form, and then on the Java side it will look about the same as Oracle form. There are few components or look and feel obviously would on the Java side or HTML side will be little different than Oracle components, but mostly they should be looking exactly the same. The third is the one that shows only images, that the Java also covers images as other ones. So you have images, you have other table buttons, table rows, and other things that you can display. There are MDI windows. You can show MDI windows, like that the windows go behind window, and then you can have a stack or content canvases as stack canvases basically. So unless you are exiting out, you cannot do anything on the form or the canvas that calls this content canvas. So this is the look and feel that we were talking about, and how it will be deployed and all those things. There are like toolbar buttons, menus we do cover, and all those things we cover in the plugin version, and some of the functionalities in ADF version. Now the second thing I would like to show to you is what happened for the conversion process. And we just ran the conversion, so dates are there. And this is the folder where the output files for the conversion went for deployment also. So I'm going to show you the structure of the form before and after. So I'm going to move it on the right side. So I'm going to take the form called customers, and there is a form called customers. Let me move it in a way that we can see it better. Properties and everything. So if you see the hierarchy, how we have generated the Java code, basically you have a COM folder. COM folder has a SportsCo folder. SportsCo is the application name. And in the application name you will see a folder called libraries, and under libraries you will see two more folders representing each library that we converted. So calendar library and pick list library. Then there is another folder called menus, and it contains the M menu, and it has all the folders for the menus and the code related to that menu. When you press the button menu, any menu item, then there is a trigger that fires saying, okay, what that menu item should choose. Should it call a report? Should it call another form? Or should it call inbuilt functionality, or what it would gonna do? So that coding will go in these Java classes that will generate. The third folder is the name of the application, which contains the forms module. So there are 3 forms that we converted. One is called customers, orders, and pick. And if I go with customers, you will see customer has some more folders, each folder representing the blocks in the form. So if you see control, nav, and navigator as customer, you can see the same blocks on the Java side. At the customer level, you will see another file called customers.java, which is the name of the form plus Java class. And what does it do? Basically, if you open this file, I would like to show this file to you. What does it contain? Basically, the file that is with the form name.java, it contains all the form level triggers, definition, and parameters if there are any parameters defined, form level triggers, program units. Basically, this contains in this form level.java class. So if you see here, there are alerts. There are delete alert and confirm alert, and they are defined right here. So this is for delete alert, and this is for comfort alert. And if you go further down, you will start seeing the triggers. And if you notice one thing, that what we are doing is we are using exactly the same name that Oracle uses for its triggers, built-ins, and other components, except that we are Javaized these, like we are using the Java naming convention rather than using like pre-form. We are using pre-form without the dashes or underscores. So in this case, for example, like this is a pre-form, and this is one of the built-in, which is called default value, which is setting the value as null for global.customer ID, and then it's doing some other functionality. Then it is calling a record group and then setting for the list of value. This is exactly what it is doing in here. It is setting up this one. In this case, obviously, we added the list of value here for displaying the list of value. If you go further down, when new form instance is here, you will see that there are set window properties there. The same naming convention as Oracle form uses. This is a program unit called refresh tree country. And if you go back in here, there is a refresh tree country. And then if you go further down, I can show you that program unit right here, somewhere right here. So this is how we have defined the architecture, like at the file system level. So what we are doing is basically taking each form, and each form will contain the block folders, and at block folders will contain item folders, and each level you will find a Java class that will represent the PL SQL code in that block level or item level. For example, if this block is called control.java, that is basically will contain all the block level triggers in that form. And if you go further and there is an exit, so there will be an exit.java that basically will contain the trigger for exiting out. When button pressed, this is what you are doing, exiting out of the form, and you are done. So, Matt, I think that's all I have to say. Any questions or anything more anyone want to see?
Excellent. Thank you very much, Khalid. We'll switch over from Khalid's desktop here in just a second, and we'll go into the question and answer session. Before we do, though, I just want to point out something significant from Khalid's demo that he showed, just something for you to think about. What he showed there was how the structure and hierarchy of your Oracle Forms project is maintained in the Java conversion with the Exodus solution. And so you saw how the folders and the blocks and camps, all of that, if you're familiar with your Oracle Forms application and that converted application, you'll be able to navigate through that folder system in much the same way. So you can find the pieces of code that you're familiar with. Now, they'll be in Java now when you go and open those folders, and it'll be Java classes and libraries and so forth. But it really makes it a lot easier for you to maintain and extend the application because of that. And time again, that's one of the big things our customers talk about, just how that helps streamline what makes the conversion with our solution so much more attractive than trying to go about this in a rewrite or a low-level coding way. Just an important point I wanted to leave you with, though, on that demo. What we'll do now is we'll go to the Q&A. And again, the way you do that is on your WebEx toolbar, the button with the question mark. Just go ahead and press that button and post your question. And we have a few already, so we'll go ahead and start the questions and start answering them. And we'll go from there, but go ahead and continue to post. So the first question we have is, what version of JDK is required? We have JDK 1.5. Khalid, I'll let you answer that one.
You can go back to 1.4. You can use 1.5, which is our current development environment at this time. But we have already tested under 1.6 and we didn't find any problem. But we haven't done any certification, but you should be able to use 1.6 if that's what you are planning to do, and we can do certification for you very quickly.
Great, thank you. Next question. Will this work with ADF 10, or do I need to migrate to ADF 11G? I'll go ahead and start with this one, Khalid. Yeah, we recommend that you migrate to ADF 11G. This is if you're interested in the browser-only option that we spoke about. We actually had, we haven't seen many clients try and do really rich applications in ADF 10G, but we did have one, and basically after they started going down that path, they decided to go to 11G because in 11G ADF they expanded the number of graphical objects and controls. I think they went from like 100 to 150 or something like that, and expanded some of the properties. And so we focused all our effort with the product to being able to go to ADF 11G because it's just a much more mature ADF platform that makes running an Oracle Forms type of application in a browser-only environment feasible. So that's the version that we would, if you were to work with us or buy our solution, that we would recommend you go with. Next question. How effective is this for thick clients with much code in the form? Do you want to start the answer with that, Khalid?
Yes, I can do that. There are two ways as we define. One is called your applet version. One is called ADF version. ADF version is a thin client. There is nothing downloaded on the client side. For applet version, obviously there is a small plugin that gets downloaded on the client side, and that covers most of the client functionalities. So if you have a thick client, like if you have a form that has doing a lot of validation on the client side and doing other things on client side, we would recommend to go with the plugin version, and that is about mimicking Oracle form as much as possible without doing anything different. So on ADF version you can do the same thing, but in every navigation or everything you are going to do, it will go back to the server and check if there is a trigger on the item or a block or a form level, and it will try to fire the trigger, which will increase the internet or network traffic for no reason. So it depends upon how you would like, and even in some cases, if you want to go, you can have both versions available for few forms you can put on thin client and few forms you can put on a thick client, basically, which is plugin version.
Great. Yeah, and again, it just depends how thick your client is as well. I mean, we have a customer that has a pretty busy forms that they're doing the ADF. And we're able to tune it quite well. As I mentioned, we have a lot of configurable settings, and there are things we can do to help manage the network traffic to a degree. But if you go the ADF route, it's going to require a little more effort in order to achieve that same kind of response time. Whereas with the lightweight plugin, as Khalid mentioned, it's really geared towards recreating that same behavior and functionality in the browser environment with that lightweight plugin, and getting what you would expect, what you had in the Oracle Forms side. There's a part 2 to that, which is what is the best method for running on standalone clients without constant network connectivity?
I can take that one too if you want me.
Yes, please.
Yeah. So the quickest answer I can give for this one is that whatever I showed to you was running on one desktop, like from database to conversion tool to deployment and JDeveloper and Tomcat. Everything was exactly running on my desktop basically, and it's a standalone. There was no network traffic and nothing like that. So if you first thing, I don't know why, if you want to do, at least the database will be somewhere centralized, so there would be a network connection anywhere. But for demo purposes, like if you're traveling or if you're showing to your client or something like that, you can have everything on one desktop, and there won't be any network traffic involved.
Great. Next question. Do I have to use the Oracle application server for the ADF option?
Can you repeat, please?
Sure. It's, do I have to use the Oracle application server for the ADF option? So I think what they're asking is, yeah, if I go with the ADF for the GUI option, does that run only with the Oracle application server?
Actually, like if you have Oracle application server, there won't be any licensing involved for ADF libraries or jar files. We are running this ADF options under Tomcat, and we have run under WebSphere without any problems. But again, like when you move from one platform or one application server to another, there would be licensing agreement involved, and then you might end up paying some licenses to Oracle for using their ADF libraries or jar file on a different environment.
Yeah, Khalid brings
positive, but you have to check it. But as far as our concern is, yes, you should be able to run in other J2EE environments also the same ADF.
Yeah, Khalid brings up a very good point. So you get ADF with the application server. There's some kind of bundle where you get that. So if you choose to go with a different app server for ADF, make sure you check your licensing agreement or options with Oracle as to whether or not you have to then license ADF or pay Oracle some fee to use ADF outside of the Oracle stack. But technically, yes, you can. Just check what your licensing options are with Oracle for your ADF framework. The next question I have is, how can the converted forms be modified and extended? And actually, for the lightweight plugin and for the desktop version, we actually have an add-on editor called the Visual Editor, so that you can modify, extend the forms once they've been converted into Java, much like how you did with in Oracle Forms. It's a visual editor, so it lets you drag and drop, and it will handle the lower level coding underneath, so that if someone says, well, we want to add now, drop this column over here, or drop this field in, or do something, we want to change this. You can do that very easily and quickly without having to go into your Java IDE. If it's let's say it's like JDeveloper, and manually code in XML or HTML or JSP. So if you're in the ADF option, ADF provides its own graphical editor. We don't have experience with that, so not sure exactly how that works, but the visual editor that we offer is available for the lightweight plugin and the Java desktop. Next question. What's the difference between the Forms plugin and Exodus plugin? Why should I migrate?
Basically, it's a good question. And it's been asked before also. Okay, if you are using a plugin, or if you are using Exodus plugin, or Form is using its own plugin, which is JInitiator or JDK nowadays. So there is something downloading on the client side, or at least attached as JVM. Yes, there is, but we are giving another option for ADF if you don't want to go with that. The reason that you will move from Oracle Forms to Java is a business decision. Basically, in most of the cases, we find why people want to move. One thing is that when you move to Java, you have a lot more things available that you can do in Java side. Basically, you can use your own Java components or other applications to integrate with Forms application converted to Java. There are a lot more Java programmers available nowadays. Java is basically an open source, so we also provide Exodus source. So if you want to customize our product, even you can customize our product. So there are different reasons why people will migrate their forms to Java, and basic reason is as I have noticed most is a business decision, because they want to go to a new technology where they want to integrate some of the Java tools, or there are so many other development tools available in Java, like for example for performance tuning, for monitoring and debugging and all those things that might be difficult to get in Oracle Form. And I'm just telling because I am an Oracle Form programmer on my and sometimes I find that I'm limited doing something in Oracle which I could have done in a different language or something like that. Yeah, there are PJCs available now, like pluggable Java components, but again, you have to develop something in Java, so why not to go all together to Java?
Yeah, thank you very much. And just to kind of summarize that for you folks out there, I mean, Khalid brings up some excellent points as to what are some of the things available to you once you decide to convert over to Java. But, if you decide not to convert over to Java, that's okay. I mean, if you're comfortable in Oracle Forms and it meets your objectives with the Oracle Forms plugin and what it has there, then that's okay. You can stay there. Again, as Khalid mentioned, what we're offering is for companies that have made a business decision that they're going to consolidate their technology platforms, and so they're making an investment moving forward in something like Java, and that's where their skill sets are. I had one CIO say, "Hey, my Oracle Forms developers aren't getting any younger." What he meant by that was, they're not training people in it anymore. It's getting easier and cheaper to find Java developers, and so that's where they're trying to focus. That's where their staff and skill sets are, and where they'd like to maintain and extend all of their applications. And that's the direction Oracle's going as well. If you notice, that's where their packaged apps are. They're moving the e-business suite in the latest versions. That's no longer even written in Oracle Forms. It's written in Java with their JDeveloper. So this is really for if you've made a business decision, to move more and more over into Java, and for some of the various reasons that Khalid mentioned, there are benefits to that. Then this is a way that gets you over there very quickly, very cost effectively, and most importantly, minimizing the risk of the actual conversion. Because as you can see from the demo, we mentioned how it's the structure and hierarchy is the same, but also it brings over all of the functionality. I hope you notice. I mean, it's basically a one-to-one conversion. So you're bringing over all of your business logic, not just the look and feel with this solution. So it really minimizes the risk as opposed to having to rewrite it from scratch. But there is always the option of staying in Forms if you're comfortable with that for the longer term. All right, that's all the questions that we have for now. If there are more, go ahead and post them, but we are coming up to an hour, so we want to go ahead and wrap up the webinar. And so Khalid and I want to thank you for attending and participating. We hope you found it of value. When you exit, you'll get a little like 3-question or 4-question survey. Please just take a moment and give us your feedback. Did you like it? Were there things, was it what you expected going in? Were there things that you didn't see that you didn't get? And are there webinar topics, are there topics you'd like to see on these webinars? Because we do these monthly, just about. And so we take your input in terms of what are the areas you'd like to see a webinar on. I mean, this GUI one is one that came from one of our other webinars. Also, this webinar will be available, a recorded version, on our website at www.cyphersoftinc.com. We make them available. It'll be available next week. And if you go on there and go under, I think, resources on the website, you'll find archived webinars, and you'll be able to look this one up. But if you have any questions, please contact your representative, and they'll be more than happy to answer any questions you may have. Whether you'd be interested in purchasing the tool and doing a conversion yourself, or if you're interested in using us as a service. Either way, we can walk you through the process of what that cost would look like and give you a very good feel for what the effort is involved before you even complete your transaction. So in summary, just to leave you with a couple key thoughts from this for you to walk away from. From what you saw today, this is a full conversion with this solution of not just the user interface, but all of the business logic and the data access. And as I kind of was mentioning in summarizing up the answer to that last question, it's a very cost-effective way to do that, and in a very low-risk way. As we talked about on the GUI options, you have several GUI options available to you. There's more than one browser-based option, and the 4 key factors we spoke about can help you determine which option is really best for you based on your objectives and your priorities. And the third thing, we mentioned it several times, but I think it's a very key thing to walk away with, is with this solution, you can convert the entire application once, and then you do have options on the user interface for different presentation layers depending on your needs. Or you may want to completely redo the front end, and modernize it specifically for the web. And once you have it converted over there, you have that option. In fact, as Khalid had mentioned, when you use our solution for the conversion, you get all of the source code. There is no dependency on CypherSoft. Once you purchase the conversion tool or use our conversion service, you get all of that source code, and it is your Java application to maintain and extend going forward. All right, with that, have a great day and a happy holidays, and we hope to speak to you in the near future.